Hey 49ers fans, we're talking trades and cap space today on this edition of the 49ers Report. They need to make a trade to clear up some cap space. We'll explain that in a second. We'll start with a question though. If you guys think the 49ers need to make a trade to free up cap space or will make a trade to free up cap space, type Y down below for yes, type N down below for no. I want to use that to gauge your guys' thoughts on what this topic is going to be in today's video. Alright, so the whole topic of this video, you heard me mention it in the very beginning, is that they need to free up cap space in order to sign George Kittle. We talked about this in a video the other day, so this got me thinking, who are 4 players on the 49ers right now that could be traded in order to free up cap space for Kittle or for future signings going into the 2021 and the 2022 season? So these are big name players. These are not small little moves that you can do to free up $1 or $2 million. These are big name players. These are starters who you could trade to free up some cap space, and we'll start with the biggest one who would free up the biggest cap space, and that is Dee Ford. So here's the whole deal. Dee Ford last year, due to a lot of injuries, only played 22% of the total defensive snaps. Now, of course, he's missing games, and he's in on some snaps, but not all of them, so he was not exactly efficient in terms of his snap time at the defensive end spot for the San Francisco 49ers. Trading him right now, it's after June 1st, right? The post-June 1st deadline would free up $14 million in cap space, giving the 49ers not only plenty of room to go ahead and re-sign George Kittle, but plenty of room to sign future upcoming contracts and stars the 49ers are going to have to do, like Mostert. You could look at a guy like Emmanuel Mosley. You could look at a guy like Jaquiski Tartt. There are a lot of young players, Dre Greenlaw, a lot of young players who are going to need new contracts in the coming years here, and the 49ers could clear up cap space right now with a Dee Ford trade. And the real thought process is, do the 49ers need Dee Ford on a defensive line that is so loaded? So Bleacher Report got this whole video idea started for me in terms of brainstorming this, and they actually were the first to talk about Dee Ford being traded, saying, quote, Dee Ford, meanwhile, has a $15.9 million salary cap hit this season. According to The Athletic's Michael Lombardi, the 49ers placed Ford, among others, on the trade block to clean up some cap issues. A post-June 1 trade would create $14.31, there it is, million in salary cap space this year, and significantly more financial flexibility over the next 3 seasons per over the cap. So there's Bleacher Report basically saying what I just said as well. If you were to trade him now, you free up a ton of space today and a ton of space in the future going forward for younger 49ers who are going to be stars like Bosa, Kinlaw, and the rest of them who will need new contracts. I mentioned it. Do they need Dee Ford? 6.5 sacks last year in a limited amount of games says he can be dominant if he's healthy. Of course, he had the knee surgery, cleaned up the knee, so he expects to be 100% healthy, but the real question is, can he, at an aging defensive end spot, actually get to the point of being consistent and being a big enough impact on the football field to warrant his $14 million salary? Because you can make the argument after looking at the 49ers defensive line with Bosa, with Kinlaw, with Armstead, and with the backup players they can kind of rotate in there, Ford, while he's very important, could be done without if you wanted to make a trade to free up cap space. Here's the whole deal. I'm a big Ford fan. I'd rather keep Dee Ford, but this whole video is gauged to kind of try to figure out how you free up cap space to re-sign George Kittle, because you need to re-sign George Kittle, so that's why we're throwing on Dee Ford. I don't want people to go, Thomas hates Dee Ford, or Thomas hates all the players on this list. No, I think they're all great starters, and I want to keep them, but eventually you can only have so many stars in a salary cap league, and so therefore trading them, is the way to go. Question, we'll start with Dee Ford. How about this? What should the 49ers do with Dee Ford? After what I just said, type K down below for keep, type T down below for trade. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. All right, next player on this list has a significantly less cap hit, but still would be enough, in my opinion, to free up the money to go ahead and make this the contract extension of George Kittle a possibility, and that is the running back Tevin Coleman. The 49ers, much like a majority of their position groups, have a plethora of very good players at their disposal. Tevin Coleman is a disposable running back. Now, is he an important running back? Can he be a great running back this year? Could he maybe even supplant Mostert as the #1 running back? Sure. But you also got to remember, Jerick McKinnon is expected to be healthy. You have Jeff Wilson Jr. waiting in the rings. And right now, it's Raheem Mostert's job to lose going into training camp. And in my opinion, he will be the starter. Tevin Coleman's cap hit this year is $4.86 million. And like I just mentioned with a guy like Jerick McKinnon, McKinnon could actually take his spot. We'll talk about that here in a second. But before I keep going, there's a flash sale going on right now on a lot of 49ers gear. Chatsports.com/49 sale. A lot of it is 65% off. You have the old NFC Champs t-shirt, which is still, they still won the NFC Championship game. That still matters. You have the whole NFC West t-shirts that they were throwing around last year, which to me are very relevant and really cool. And of course, this George Kittle t-shirt as well, all on sale. Almost all of them 65% off. Get you guys one right now at chatsports.com/49 sale. Back to Coleman here. Coleman again showed bursts, especially early on in the season, of being maybe even the #1 running back. He's great catching the football out of the backfield. You love scheming him along in the Kyle Shanahan offense, but injuries as well slowed down that production. And while he can get back to being healthy and his normal self in 2020, if Jerick McKinnon is healthy, he's a better running back. Let me say that again. When healthy, which is a massive if for Jerick McKinnon, because I know he had the whole lower body issues. If he's healthy, he can be a very good running back and can be the better running back overall than Tevin Coleman. And so if you needed to get rid of some cap space, this would be an easy one to do because you have Mostert, you have what you expect from McKinnon, and you have Jeff Wilson Jr., and even JaMychal Hasty, the undrafted free agent out of Baylor. They're good at running back. Coleman, to me, would make some sense here if they needed to free up cap space to go ahead and re-sign George Kittle. Who will have more touches in 2020? This will be very interesting to see how this actually plays out, but give me you guys' thoughts right now. Coleman or McKinnon? Type C down below for Coleman, type N down below for McKinnon down below. Moving on to the name that everyone will say we just have to trade because he's the one that no one likes on this list, and that, of course, is poor Solomon Thomas, who has never produced at the defensive tackle spot. We know this. He's just never really lived up to the 3rd overall pick in 2017, and he's not going to start because Javon Kinlaw is going to start in front of him. There's no way Solomon Thomas is going to take reps away from Javon Kinlaw, who obviously is going to be a better overall pro and a better pro prospect for the rest of his career. The big thing on Thomas, and remember, he was a top 5 pick, so he had a big rookie overall signing contract, is his cap hit this year is $8.95 million. So you hear all this and you go, well, duh, we should trade him. But the question is, would anyone actually want to trade for Solomon Thomas? Now, Bleacher Report has an idea. They mentioned shipping him off to Minnesota because the Vikings could use some defensive line depth chart help. Quote, the 49ers can save $4.4 million by trading the 2017 3rd overall pick after June 1st, according to Over the Cap. And, of course, the Minnesota Vikings, meanwhile, could use another edge defender with some versatility to fortify their defensive line. That sounds great, but the question is, does a team really want to take on, we mentioned, the $8.95 million salary going into the 2020 season for a player who, you can see by the stats, has never really done anything, even his rookie year, in San Francisco. Niners would love to trade him. They've tried to trade him multiple times. The question is, will anyone actually take him? And if they do, you're going to get back, what, a 5th or a 6th round draft pick. So if you clear the money out, great, but it's more you got to find a team willing to go ahead and make that trade in order to make this sort of thing actually happen. Before we move on, to make this show actually happen, we need subscribers. That's why we always ask for you guys, if you're a fan of the channel, if you follow the channel and you aren't subscribed, to click the red subscribe button. The more subscribers we have, and we have 23,000+, the more videos we can keep putting out here on the 49ers Report. So we appreciate you guys. I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe as well. So I mentioned Dee Ford, who's a starter, right, at the very beginning being a possibility. Tevin Coleman, who's a rotational player. I mentioned Solomon Thomas, a rotational player as well. Now we go to the final player on my list, and Kwon Alexander, who was a starter, but got injured and was designated to a rotational role. Remember, missed half the season last year with a torn pectoral, and during that time, rookie Dre Greenlaw took his spot at the weak inside linebacker and never gave it back. Even in the Super Bowl, Greenlaw started over Kwon Alexander. So, with Alexander's cap at $4.57 million in 2020, maybe it's time to go ahead and move on from Alexander, despite the fact you just acquired him, really, from Tampa Bay, just it feels like months ago at this point. Now, it wasn't because it was last year, but still, you just got him, so it's weird to go ahead and trade him away. But with the emergence of Dre Greenlaw at the linebacker spot, and when in reality in the modern NFL, you basically only play 2 linebackers at a time, this could actually make a lot of sense. Before we go on, though, who should start at linebacker? Type A down below for Alexander, type G down below for Greenlaw. We know Fred Warner, obviously, is going to start. But the comparisons come between Greenlaw and Alexander. The stats aren't really fair because Greenlaw played a lot more, and we know that Kwon's great, but if you're going to want to save some money, then you go for the younger, cheaper rookie in Dre Greenlaw than the guy who's a little bit older in Kwon Alexander. This is going to be the most interesting camp battle, in my opinion, besides the running back spot, because even though it's Mostert, the 2, 3, 4 spot, the will linebacker spot is going to be fascinating to see who wins it. And if you think Greenlaw's going to win it, then maybe you do go ahead and trade a guy like Kwon Alexander, because then you save a bunch of money, you re-sign Kittle, and you don't hurt your team that much because they played so well without him last year during the torn pectoral muscle. Okay, before we end this show, and again, just throwing out some names. I love all these players. I'm not begging the Niners to trade any one of them. I'm just saying, if you want to free up money, this is what you could do. Before we go ahead and end, this sale is so good, I want to mention it one more time at chatsports.com/49sale. The 49ers gear is 65% off, and there's the NFC Champ t-shirt, right? So there's that. There is, of course, the NFC West t-shirt as well. The West is not enough. And then the George Kittle t-shirt at the same time, all 65% or more off, or up to 65% off, I should say. Link is in the description. Chatsports.com/49sale is the place for you to go ahead and pick them up, and I encourage you guys to do that right now. There you go. All the time we have for today here on the 49ers Report. Hopefully you enjoyed this creative video where I took the idea of re-signing Kittle, figured out how to do it, and gave you some trade options as well. That way you guys can go ahead and mull this over and comment down below to see your thoughts on all of this as well. All the time we have for today on the 49ers Report. I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.